Philadelphia news, team of my heart.
The Philadelphia Sixers have a player right now who is completely off limits in trade talks. Untouchable, not available at any price. And that sounds great until you realize this untouchable status might be the exact thing that destroys their entire season. This is huge because while everyone is celebrating what this kid is doing on the court, nobody is talking about the chaos happening behind the scenes because of him. Yes, he's talented. Yes, he's exciting. But the Sixers just made a harsh realization they should have seen coming, and now they're stuck. So what exactly is the problem? Well, let's just say it's forcing Daryl Morey into the most dangerous position a GM can be in, and the clock is ticking. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like on this video because we're about to break down why the Sixers might have created their own worst nightmare. So here's the situation. The Sixers have Joel Embiid, who can't stay healthy, and Paul George, who also can't stay healthy. That's 2 max contracts in street clothes for most of the season. Meanwhile, they're trying to compete in an Eastern Conference that's actually wide open this year. The Cavaliers look beatable. The Celtics have question marks. The Knicks are inconsistent. This should be Philly's window. But instead of making moves to capitalize right now, they're paralyzed. Why? Because they have one young player who they've decided is completely untouchable. And that's creating a domino effect that's way worse than anyone wants to admit. Look, when you declare someone untouchable, you're essentially saying everyone else is available. And that's exactly what's happening in Philadelphia right now. Quinten Grimes is sitting at home furious because the Sixers lowballed him with a 4-year, $39 million offer. That's a slap in the face for a guy who averaged 26 points per game over the final 6 weeks of last season and dropped 46 on a legit defense. But the Sixers can't pay him because they're backed into a corner with the new CBA. They already have 2 massive contracts that might be mistakes, and they can't take on any more risk. So Grimes is probably walking in free agency next year, and Philly gets nothing in return. That's a disaster. But it gets worse. The reason the Sixers can't make any moves right now is because they've put all their eggs in one basket with this untouchable player. And yeah, he's been impressive, really impressive. But here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. He's struggling in some pretty crucial areas, and those struggles are exposing a fundamental problem with how Philly has constructed this roster. Since defenses have started game planning for him, his efficiency has dropped significantly. He's turning the ball over almost twice a game in 35 minutes, which doesn't sound terrible until you actually watch the games. Dude is dribbling into traffic constantly, getting stuck in bad positions, making rookie mistakes that are costing them possessions in crunch time. And the Sixers coaching staff knows it. Nick Nurse knows it, but they can't say it publicly because they've already crowned this kid as the future of the franchise. So what happens? They keep giving him heavy minutes, keep running the offense through him, and keep hoping he figures it out. Meanwhile, the rest of the roster is in limbo. Nobody knows who's staying and who's going. Trade deadline is approaching, and Daryl Morey can't make any moves because his hands are tied. But let me ask you this. What if the Sixers made the wrong call? What if declaring someone untouchable at this stage of their development is actually hurting the team more than helping it? Because right now, Joel Embiid is 30 years old and his body is breaking down. Paul George is 34 and looks like he's past his prime. If the Sixers are serious about competing, they need to be making win-now moves, but they can't. They're stuck protecting a rookie who, despite all the hype, has some legitimate weaknesses that aren't going away anytime soon. And that's creating a culture problem. Tyrese Maxey is out here giving speeches about standards and culture and showing more leadership than almost anyone on the roster. Meanwhile, the guy who's supposed to be untouchable is still learning basic ball handling concepts. That's not a knock on the kid. He's a rookie. He's supposed to struggle. But when you label someone untouchable, you're telling the rest of the locker room that this person is more valuable than everyone else combined. And that creates resentment. Grimes is sitting at home thinking, I average 26 a game and you won't pay me, but you're protecting a kid who can't handle defensive pressure? How you think that's going to play out? Let me give you some context here because this exact situation has destroyed teams before. Remember the Brooklyn Nets in 2013? They went all in on a big 3 at exactly the wrong time. Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett left their best years in Boston, and the Nets are still in basketball hell 12 years later. Or look at the Washington Wizards. In 2017, they were feisty. They took the Celtics to 7 games in the playoffs. Then they paid both John Wall and Bradley Beal huge deals, and their careers imploded. Wall became the worst contract in the NBA, and Beal couldn't overcome it. The Wizards became irrelevant overnight. And here's the scary part. The Sixers might be walking into the same trap, just in reverse. Instead of paying aging stars too much, they're protecting a young player too early, and is preventing them from making the moves they need to compete right now. That's actually worse, because at least the Nets and Wizards tried to win. The Sixers are sacrificing their present for a future that might never come.
And by the way, let's talk about what untouchable actually means in the NBA. It means you can't trade that player under any circumstances, no matter what's offered. But here's the problem with that logic. The NBA changes fast. Windows open and close in a heartbeat. The Warriors thought they had years with their dynasty, and suddenly they're rebuilding. The Lakers went from champions to missing the playoffs. The Suns traded everything for Durant and Beal, and now they look cooked. So when you declare someone untouchable, you're betting your entire franchise on the assumption that nothing will change, that injuries won't happen, that development will continue linearly, that chemistry will magically work out, but it never does. Basketball doesn't work that way, and the Sixers are about to learn that lesson the hard way. Because right now, they have a player who is immensely talented, but clearly not ready to carry the kind of responsibility they're giving him. He's getting exposed by aggressive defenses, he's making turnovers in critical moments, he's showing that rookie tendency of not recognizing passing angles and getting into better positions to make plays. These are normal growing pains. But when you've already declared someone untouchable, you can't adjust your strategy. You're locked in. So here's where it gets really interesting. The Sixers are about to hit the trade deadline, and they desperately need help. They need shooting. They need defense. They need depth. But who can they trade? Not Embiid, not George, not Maxey, and not their untouchable rookie. So that leaves role players and picks, which isn't enough to land a difference maker. Meanwhile, teams around the league are circling, waiting for the Sixers to panic. And when you're desperate, you make bad trades. You overpay. You give up assets for short-term fixes that don't work. That's exactly what happened to the Lakers when they traded for Russell Westbrook. They were so desperate to compete while LeBron was still elite that they made a catastrophic move. And now, 3 years later, they're still recovering. The Sixers are in danger of making the same mistake, except their mistake is what they're not doing. By refusing to even consider trading their untouchable player, they're eliminating their best avenue for improving the roster. And in the NBA, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. There's no standing still. But what if I'm wrong? What if the Sixers are actually playing this perfectly? What if their untouchable player suddenly figures out ball handling and becomes everything they hoped for? Well, even in that best-case scenario, they still have a massive problem, because by the time he reaches his peak, Embiid and George will be retired or washed. So the Sixers will have wasted their current window waiting for a player to develop, and then they'll have to build a completely new roster around him. That's a 7 to 10 year process minimum. Is that really the plan? Because if it is, they should be honest about it. Trade Embiid and George for picks and young players, commit to a full rebuild. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say we're competing for a championship while also protecting a player who isn't ready to contribute to championship basketball. That's organizational malpractice, and Sixers fans deserve better than that. They've suffered through the process. They've watched Ben Simmons quit on the team. They've seen James Harden demand a trade. And now they're being told to be patient again while their two best players waste away on the injury report? Come on. So yes, the Sixers have an untouchable player who could legitimately destroy their roster, not because he's bad, but because the timing is all wrong. And in the NBA, timing is everything. You have to know when to develop and when to compete. The Sixers are trying to do both, and it's not working. So leave a comment below and tell me if you think the Sixers should keep their untouchable status on this player, or if they should at least be open to trade offers. Because honestly, I think Daryl Morey is making a massive mistake here, and it's going to cost them their best chance at a title. And by the way, the player I've been talking about this entire video is VJ Edgecombe. Yeah, the rookie who everyone loves. The guy who's supposed to be the future. But right now, his untouchable status is creating more problems than it's solving. And the Sixers need to wake up before it's too late. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more NBA content, and let me know in the comments what you think the Sixers should do, because this situation is only going to get messier.